So I've been a cinematographer for 15 years now, and I've worked on sets from the smallest budget run and gun style sets all the way up to larger budget shoots for brands like Adidas and T-Mobile, Oklahoma City Thunder. But if I were to start over today, going into the year 2026 at the time of making this video, these are the things I would do to get started as a cinematographer. And the first thing I would do would be to gather inspiration. Before I even bought a camera or bought lights or decided to start shooting anything, I would start really analyzing stuff that I like. I would start finding frames from movies or from commercials or from any other project that catches my attention. What I'm trying to figure out what it is that I like. What makes certain images stand out to me more than others? And by doing this, what this is going to do, this is going to develop taste. This is going to help you decide what interests you. What is the kind of category of images that you like? And what inspire you to go out and make images yourself? Find images that make you want to create. Find images that make you stop and go, how did they do that? Why does that look so good? And just figure out what calls to you. Because I think one of the most important pieces of any creation really comes down to your taste. What do you value in creating and the things that you consume? What are the things that stand out to you and make you feel something? So I think that'd be step number one, is I would try to gather my tastes, basically. And I think at first you don't have to watch everything. You don't have to be a cinephile. You don't have to have watched every movie ever made, every Roger Deakins movie, Spielberg movie. I think really, like, when I started back when I was, 18 or 19, and I started getting into video and photography, I had always watched a lot of movies, but not to the extent that a lot of other people had. But I was always drawn to a certain style of movie, something that evoked a certain emotion in me. And it only took a couple movies that were really profound to me to make me want to get into this field as a career. So you don't have to know it all. Just find the things that interest you the most. So with that, the second thing I would do is I would start looking at how things look in reality, how light falls in reality, how the sun looks on certain days, how the sun comes through clouds, how the sun looks on a bright summer day, how lamps look in a room. Once I got into cinematography and started learning about light, a thing that I would often do, and my wife would always make fun of me, is I would walk around with my hand out like this, and I would treat my hand like as if it was a face. Often you are filming faces in cinematography, and you're wanting to see how light falls on a face. And so to do that, I hold out my fist like this. Here, you can kind of see here. See how the light is like kind of coming in on this side and falling off into kind of a darker area on this side. And I just wanted to see like how light was affecting my fist in reality. I would be in the middle of dinner at some restaurant, and then I would just hold up my fist right there in the middle. And then my wife would be like, "What are you doing?" Once I started noticing how light worked, I couldn't stop paying attention to it. I would do this everywhere. It's actually funny, the first time that we ever went to New York City, we went to B&H Photo, the website where you can buy photo and video gear, but they also have a store in New York. We were walking around and I turned around and my wife was doing this in the middle of the store to make fun of me. As silly as that sounds, it is something that I used to do all the time. Start looking around and try to figure out what makes light hard, what makes it soft, what makes it fall off quicker, how bright is the light, how the color of light. Why is it that you're sometimes in a room and you're like, why does it feel terrible in here? Why does the feng shui feel off? And then you start to realize so much of that comes down to the lighting, which is one of the most important things in cinematography, is how light works and how light paints your frame and how it looks on the skin or on your subject or on the product that you're trying to light. And this will go hand in hand with your taste. You'll start to find light in reality that you like more or less. You'll start to prefer one. Every time I go over to my in-laws' house, they have these really bright daylight balanced LEDs in their lamps. So at night when you're trying to go to sleep, there's this giant bright bluish white light, and your brain tells you that it's sunlight. It tells you that you shouldn't be going to sleep. So me, I prefer a tungsten light, something closer to 3200 Kelvin, 2700 Kelvin, a nice warm glow, not too bright, telling my brain it's time to go to sleep. But you'll start to notice that other people don't look at light this way. So that's gonna be an asset of yours. That's gonna be something, a skill for you to obtain, a skill for you to have, which is going to drastically affect what your images look like when you start shooting. And so let's get to number 3 then. Say you do finally want to start shooting. Well, of course you're gonna wanna buy a camera. And I really wanna emphasize this. I really wanna emphasize how much the camera is not the secret sauce. It is not your magic ticket. It is not the thing that's going to make you a better cinematographer. And so how I would do this if I were to start over in 2026, if I were to go back now and get my first camera again, I think what I would do, I think it'd be easy to, you're on YouTube right now, you're watching other YouTubers talk about cameras, and they're probably talking a lot about mirrorless cameras. that have the cinema camera badge on them. But I think I honestly would shy away from those. I would try to find a camera that is a proper cinema camera, something that is designed just for shooting video. Maybe it's a plus if it can't even shoot photos. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of buying cameras and what is the right camera for you, because I don't know what your needs are, which is an important thing to know. What are your needs? What do you want to shoot? And that's where that taste came in, right? So I would pick a camera that's more of a legitimate cinema camera. Probably gonna have to look somewhere in the realm of something made by Blackmagic, because what they offer is something that is really trying to be a cinema camera, but is at a very low cost point. But I think ultimately using something like a Blackmagic camera, a Blackmagic Pocket 6K, a Blackmagic full frame 6K, a Pixis, even an old Blackmagic camera, a really old one would be great. An old Red camera, an old Sony camera, but try to get something designed for video. Because what you'll find is that once you get into the menu system is very simple. It only really has the fundamentals on it, which is going to help you much more efficiently grasp how to use a camera. When you get some of these new modern mirrorless cameras, the menus are so deep. They have so many options, so many things to do. Really, you only want to change a few things: your aperture, your ISO, and your white balance. And you want it to shoot in log, which is just going to be the profile that's going to give you the most dynamic range, the most scale from lightness to darkness, which is just going to help you better create your images and better work with the light that now that you've become an expert on. I mean, I would maybe even go as far to say get one of the newer iPhones and shoot with the Blackmagic app, which is going to give you that same menu system that you would see on a Blackmagic camera, but just using the camera that's built into your iPhone. Maybe that's a good way to start. I really just think it's important to figure out the fundamentals of what you're putting in front of the camera versus obsessing over the gear so much. So I would start there. Maybe a Blackmagic Pocket 6K, they're like $900 used right now. Just try to get the cheapest cinema camera you can get that has the ability to throw a lens on there and start shooting. And the next thing I would do, and I don't want you to become toxic with this, but I would absorb a lot of content. I would watch a lot of YouTube videos, watch videos like this, try to be around people that are making stuff. So if it's hard for you to get on set with people that are making stuff, at least by watching a YouTube video or someone documenting what they're doing, you're able to absorb and kind of understand the nuances and the workflow of what it's like to shoot something. And that'll help you a lot. I didn't have that when I started. 15 years ago, we didn't have YouTube. We had to go to set. We had to buy a camera and just figure out how it worked. We didn't have great camera reviews. These things all exist though now on YouTube. You can go back and watch my catalog if you want to see some of the stuff that I've made on that, or watch some of the other creators on YouTube, of course, and you'll learn a lot that way. But invest in yourself and get the knowledge. Read the manual to your camera. But I only say this to learn, once again, about your taste. Learn about what you do like and what you don't like. Start watching a lot of stuff so you can start filtering down what makes you as a creator. And shameless plug here, I do have a course on cinematography. It's called the DP Mindset. If you want to jump on the waitlist to join that program when it goes live, you can just click the link in my description below. And listen, you don't have to watch a course. That's gonna be the most efficient way to learn a lot. But we live in the information era now. There's so much information out there about how to light a scene, how to use a camera, etc. But I would encourage you not to get caught in the weeds of the technicalities. Try to learn those fundamentals first. And then of course, educate yourself, but then you're going to want to keep watching movies and commercials, etc. And what I would do next is I would start reverse engineering these things. Start to find those things I like, find that taste that I like, and then I would start trying to reverse engineer how other people are creating their images. Maybe you find an image that's really inspired you, you're like, what's going on in that frame? Just look at the frame, analyze it. Where is the light falling? Where are the shadows at? What are the colors doing? Maybe what kind of focal length is the lens? Are they wide? Are they tight? Break it down one by one and then recreate it. Take your camera, and maybe you don't have lights yet. Maybe use some lamps in the room, or just use daylight, or maybe you can afford a couple little lights to get going, whatever it takes, and then try to recreate one of those shots. You'll find by doing this, it's one of the best practices. You imitate first. You try to figure out something that you like, and then you try to imitate it. And by doing that, you're going to start exercising those skills. You're at least going to get into the ballpark of something that you already know you like versus trying to do some weird 3-point lighting interview, which you may not even like how that looks, to learn. And ultimately, I think it's just gonna be more fun for you. I used to do that a lot. That's actually how I started this YouTube channel, is that I wanted to practice more. I would just start recreating scenes from big Hollywood movies, and I would use cheap cameras to do it. I really just wanted to prove that it's not about the camera, and it's more about how you create the frame. So I'd encourage you to do this. Then I would encourage you to do it again, and again, and again, and again, and keep failing, keep messing up, up. Keep trying until you feel like you have got the confidence to go out there and make something for yourself. And I would do this fully to completion. I wouldn't just shoot a couple frames. I would try to have some intention with a project. I would try to come up with an idea that needs multiple shots in it, has a through line theme, and then I would plan it, and then I would shoot it, and then I would edit it and color grade it. And the reason I would do all of those things is because by going through the whole process of making a video or a film or a commercial, you're gonna have a better grasp on the whole project, which in turn is going to make you a better cinematographer. Because it's one thing to be good at taking a photo or shooting a frame and lighting one setup, maybe lighting just a close-up. But if you don't understand the full scope of a project, you're going to lack the skill to really support that project. And so much of what cinematography is trying to just help tell a better story. So if you don't know how a full story is created or how the production workflow works from beginning to end, it's gonna be much harder for you to fully support the project as a whole. It's actually profound how once you start editing video, you start to learn much more about cinematography. You start to learn more about, you know what, this looks the best, but if I put the camera here, it's going to help the editor in the end. Or how can I compromise between the two? Like, I really like this frame, but does it work for the story? Okay, what about a frame that's just slightly different that works for the story and still looks really good? These are the things you start to understand more. And if you start to create full projects, at least at the beginning, just so you can understand all the pieces of the puzzle, you'll find that your outcome is going to be better overall. And by doing these recreations and making these projects, you're going to find the parameters of shooting. You're going to find where things lie, when things look really good, when things look really bad. And the more times you fail, you're going to get to see the whole spectrum of shooting, which is going to make you a more efficient cinematographer for your client or your directors or for yourself going forward. The more mistakes you make, the better you're going to get, right? You have to be willing to trust the process, be willing to make those mistakes, be willing to fall off the horse so you can get back on it afterwards. But going through this process, I think what will happen is you'll start to find your style. You'll start to find what excites you about shooting, something that works just for you. And so if I were to start over, I would then experiment a lot more. I think early on I started getting obsessed with the technicalities of how things work, how lights work, how shooting works, etc. And I kind of lost that creative spark. So I think once you've kind of gone through this whole process, then it'd be time to experiment. Maybe try not to lean into trends too much. Try to do something that just seems interesting to you. Try to break the rules that you now understand. Take all those fundamentals and use them to help create an image from scratch. Something that looks just interesting to you, even though maybe it doesn't follow some of the new technical rules that you've learned. But use those rules as supportive skills to help you get where you're going. Honestly, it's just important to keep having fun when creating these things and not get too lost in the weeds. I think you'll find that eventually you'll find the art again in the craft. And ultimately, that's what's going to carry you further into your cinematography journey. So those are a few things that I would do if I were to start over today in 2026. Obviously, I can't give you the full playbook of what it would be like to be a cinematographer today, but these are the things that I would start with. And after I finally got some work that I'm proud of and feels like my style, I'd want to promote myself with those frames in order to show off what I've been doing so other people might want to work with me. I might get to build a community that way, or people might want to hire me to shoot something for them. But really, all that to be said, if I were to start over, I would just try to find my style, find the things that I like, experiment, and I would try to really figure out what the purpose of all this is for me. Why do I want to create? And try to hold on to that. Try not to get lost in the rat race and just have fun. All right, so that's it for this video. Until next time, guys, as always, I'm Centra Sakurai. Peace.